for the second. India have won the test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India at home. Lords goes wild.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the 81 All Out podcast. This is Siddhartha Vaidyanathan at Sidby on Twitter. And today we have a full house, 81 All Out regulars, as well as the eagerly anticipated return of Kartikeya Date at Cricketing View on Twitter. So all of us here to talk about the England's victory against India in Headingley. It was a comprehensive win by an innings and 76 runs, which means the series now stands at 1-1 with 2 games to play. All set up, as they say. So welcome to the show, guys. Mahesh, who is at Cornered, Ashoka, who is at AB Van, and as I said, long awaited. Hi, Kartikeya. Many people have been wondering where you've been. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's so nice to be back.
Hello. We have to inform people that Kartikeya is here against our wishes.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like Ashwin now, and then Kartikeya is like the Kohli. Everybody seems to be just like focused on him, and I'm like, nobody's bothered about the fact that I'm. It's no coincidence that I come from Chennai as well, so it's probably got to do with something.
Listen, Mahesh, yours and Ashoka's job here is to do the Kutti story. Kartikeya can actually play the game of the podcast, okay?
He's the captain.
All right.
What have you guys been doing while I was away, man?
Exactly. We've been talking fluff as usual, as you know. I mean, ultimately, the game is about fluff, right? Everything else, all your line length, control and all that's all like additional.
That is true. What one ball is someone is flinging, someone's swinging a bat. It has no meaning.
Yeah, I mean, you have to find the meaning in it. That is the beauty. It has a lot of meaning, but you don't find the meaning in it. You're just saying ball is bowled, batsman misses, what to do. No. We are looking at it at a much larger picture. So coming to that, though, the larger picture, it was quite a turnaround after Lords. I mean, India pulled off quite a dramatic win on the final day there, and then go to Headingley, win the toss and bat first, and then they were unfortunately 78 all out. I mean, as you know, we at 81 all out are very disappointed with this turn of events. I mean, 3 more runs, man. I mean, is that too much to ask for some guy to just come and get a nick and get like 3 more runs?
No,
we would have got
it's not our fault. It's not our fault. It's that Hasib Hamid's fault, man. That whole test match I've been watching that guy chasing after balls in that weird style of his, and then diving desperately on the boundary to show off to like Silverwood or whatever that guy's name is, how much he cares about playing for England.
Yeah. He stopped like quite a few 4s. Correct.
Yeah, he had quietly let 3 4s go. It would have been 81 all out.
Perfect. Yeah, then we could have, so much could have been done for this podcast. But okay, 78. In fact, somebody even started a Twitter handle at 78 all out, I think. So who knows? That might become a number to remember at some stage. But anyway, Ashoka, you can start with the important stuff before we get to all the other
useless stuff, right?
Useless things like line length and all.
But Sidby, let me be serious. I mean, there was like, if you closely observe this test match, you could see great bowling, beautiful batting, competent slip fielding. All this you can observe if you're an England cricket fan, but I am not one. So this has been a terrible cricket match for me, and I am like heartbroken for 3 reasons, right? Like the first reason is it's now 3 test matches done out of a 5 test match series. Like 60% of it is done, and we still haven't seen Ashwin playing in a match. So I know what you guys are going to say, but I actually went and checked with lawyers and the law. Apparently, it is a criminal offense to not have Ashwin in the 11. So someone needs to get arrested. In fact, everyone needs to get arrested, but we have not seen any of that happen. So that is first disappointment. Secondly, 78 all out. Okay. Right. What was happening? I mean, we say that is an aberration, but now we have seen 36 all out like in 2 series ago, now 78 all out. It doesn't look like aberration. It is looking like regulation right now. Like every other series, we are collapsing. So something's gone wrong, and that something is batting. So immediate investigation into that. And third thing, I mean, this guy Kohli, I don't know what is happening with him, man. He wins toss like, no, that is an aberration. Him winning a toss is an aberration. But after winning toss, he looks at the pitch, he sees the clouds, and then he says, okay, I have a great batting, I'll go bat today. What is this nonsense? Sitting at home, I can see, I, with my infinite cricket wisdom, can see immediately we had to bowl first. And once we were like 78 all out, I was like, see, this is why we could have actually won this test within 3 days. So all these are three prime reasons that I think need to be discussed nationwide among every street. But I don't know.
Ashoka,
I mean,
Ashoka, one point though. Kohli has lost only 2 tests after he has won the toss. One is Adelaide, one is here. Other than that, whenever he has won the toss, India has either won the match or drawn the match. That is a fact. Now,
this is convenient when you keep losing the toss. Not only he keeps losing the toss, and then you, on top of it, you're saying when he wins the toss, he wins the games. Come on, what rubbish.
Come on. Again, you're talking something that I do not approve of. Why are you talking facts? I mean, who's asking for facts? Please. When we are talking about feelings, let's talk about feelings, which is most important these days. And the feeling was, once you win the toss under a cloudy sky, in which the ball is swinging like 2 degrees, it looked like 45 degrees. This guy is going and batting. And first of all, only 2 batsmen in our team work. The rest don't work. That 2 batsmen also went out. That's it. 78 all out. It was, I mean, so obvious that by the end of day one, 78 all out and 120 for no loss. Match was over there only. But
and that one batsman who was working got out to a pull shot again. Just noting.
Yeah, and this was the most ridiculous. So it's something like that one particular batsman whom we will not name. Someone must have gone and told him, keep playing pull shots, because he's getting out to even ridiculous pull shots these days. Like he got caught in mid-on, man, with a pull shot. Who gets caught like that? I mean, Ollie Robinson did get caught like that in the first test, I think, or second test, I think. But that is the comparison that we need to make.
But I think that's also Kohli's fault. You remember when Pujara was getting out trying to score a shot, they said, he's putting so much pressure on him to score. That's why he's getting out. I think it's the opposite. With Rohit Sharma, they don't let him be. They just say, you are a great player of pull shot. You got to play the pull shot. You're someone who can change the game in a session. So I think it's clearly Kohli's fault.
Just like Pujara often gets told that he needs to show intent, I think Rohit needs to be told that he needs to show no intent. Rohit needs the no intent mode, basically.
In fact, he needs to be content, not intent.
Okay. So yes, Kartikeya, you want to state some facts here?
Oh no, don't do this.
I mean, I'm still trying to process everything Ashoka pointed out. Some of the things I'd never thought of. But what? I mean, I don't know. It's unremarkable. They won the toss, batted first, got caught on a seaming track, got bowled out for 78. Track eased out. Joe Root is in the tremendous form, and England made 400. Nearly 430. And then, the wicket was still playing well. But one thing I did think over the last 3 tests is that England's bowlers are more used to bowling in England. They like, for instance, on the last 4th morning with the second new ball, they had to find a different length for that wicket. And they found it. And India's bowlers also have to do that. They have to also keep finding lengths to bowl. And it takes them a little longer because they have a little less experience of bowling in England than, Ollie Robinson and James Anderson and Overton and all these people. And, trying to find that length, it costs a few runs. And then also when India first started bowling in the first innings, it seemed quite uncharacteristic that, they seem to be chasing wickets everywhere rather than, trying to get a wicket in one place, which sort of gives the bowling side a little bit of control over proceedings. They were bowling every kind of attacking ball and conceding every kind of run. England did that as well in the start of the 3rd innings. They attacked a lot. They started bowling straight quite a bit, and Cheteshwar Pujara got like 3 leg stump half volleys in 13 balls after getting only 2 in the previous 2 series. In the entire Australian series and the World Test Championship final, he got a total of 2 balls on outside the leg stump, half volleys outside the leg stump to hit for 4. And in this innings, he got 3 in his first 13 balls, and he hit all 3 for 4, I think. Actually, I think he's hit all 5 for 4. So, that sort of thing can happen. But, England had runs to play with by then, and they could afford to, have a bad session with the ball, whereas, India didn't. So, yeah, it's a good test match. Ollie Robinson's bowling was fantastic. He's really a find for them. It was, the way to put it, I think, would be that it was a good toss for Joe Root to lose, which is ironic given that I think the statistic is that Kohli has won the toss only twice in 12 tests with Joe Root, or 2 out of 12 tosses with Joe Root, and one of the 2 is a good toss for Joe Root to lose. So, poor guy.
Mahesh, overall impressions and general thoughts about the test.
No, before we go there, in terms of the bowlers thing, I think we kind of highlighted that in the last review of the Lord's Test that we did, as exciting as it is to see these fast bowlers perform here. At the end of the day, for these conditions, even if England has lesser bowlers overall, they will have better bowlers for those conditions. And that's always going to be the case. Like an Akshar Patel in Ahmedabad is going to be more potent than a lot of the world-class spinners around the world. Karthik has always mentioned this, right? At the end of the day, home pitches are made for home bowlers. And home bowlers, not just the frontline 4 bowlers, they have an assembly line of bowlers who could come and do this, right? So even if they didn't have Ollie Robinson, it's quite likely that somebody else could have come and outbowled Shami and Bumrah in these conditions. That's one factor that we've always got to factor in. The other one is that, when you can agree or disagree with Kohli, but at the end of the day, he's playing 5 batsmen. He's playing 4 fast bowlers. Now, that's a high-risk approach. Some people want to consider that defensive or whatever. And that high-risk approach is going to kind of, expose the team on one odd test. And that this was a perfect test, right? He won a very indifferent toss. He won a toss that I Root would have considered a good toss to lose. And then he chose to bat. Now, once you get all out for less than 80, there's not much even a great bowling attack can do. And it's a risk that should have been priced in. Going into the series, would you expect India to lose a test at Leeds? I would say yes. Would you expect them to miss the 6 batsmen at some stage through the series? Yes. Would you expect the 4-man bowling attack, 4 fast bowlers of India to be less than effective or less than as effective as the English counterparts were? Of course, yes. Probably, all of them came together in this test, but none of them seemed outrageous to me. This was very much within the realm of modelable sort of variables as we went into the series.
Yeah, that's true. But it's also that, everybody's always saying, well, we need more batting. But the point is, if India take more batting, then it means weakening the bowling. And if you weaken the bowling, then, Kohli is basically right that if you don't have bowling, you're basically playing for only 2 results. One is a loss and the other is a draw. You're not going to win a test match without bowling. So the way to build a competitive test team is to find, first of all, what you need to take 20 wickets. And that is admittedly a foreign way of thinking for, the way at least the newspapers I read when I was growing up, the way they discuss cricket. There's always been a bias towards respectability over competitiveness when India play test cricket. We always want a respectable score. We would always prefer 300 all out with the bat, even if it means conceding 400 all out to the opposition, instead of 250 all out, if the extra bowling gets you a chance of bowling them out for 300, So from a competitive standpoint, Kohli's logic is watertight. He's obviously right. If you want to win a test match, you need bowling. And you need enough batting, but first you need bowling. You have to take 20 wickets. And he's right that 4 fast bowlers, if you have these 4 fast bowlers, you play them. And if you're not going to play them in these 3 grounds in England, where are you going to play them? You're not going to. I mean, the choices India are making are, compared to the choices India used to make, they are radical. But compared to the choices that are dictated by what they have available and what the conditions offer, they are entirely reasonable. What else are they supposed to do? Play what? Play two spinners? I mean, they did play two spinners in the World Championship final, and it didn't work. They always ended up having to bring the spinner on second change, which is basically within the first 20 overs of the innings. That's not on. Ashwin is a great bowler, but let's face it, in these conditions, Ishant Sharma is a better bowler than Ashwin.
Is Shardul Thakur a better bowler? That's the question.
And everybody.
That's okay. I'm now Ashoka is going to yell at me because I say no, but because of
hey, he got Joe Root LBW, man. He got
Ashwin is an interesting question. I think in a way Kohli is blessed that he's got Jadeja, right? I mean, who's batting so well and who's more than a handy fifth bowler. So in a way, it's not like your Stuart Binney kind of selection, right? Where you're compensating on both in order to give you half a resource on both. So in a way, it's not that. So I don't think playing five bowlers in itself is being questioned as such. But it's the choice of four. Even in the five bowlers logic, I mean, I'm not talking so much about Kohli here, but Kartikeya is someone who's a big proponent of this. One sort of counter question I had to ask you is this, right? I agree with this premise of picking the team on the basis of resources for getting 20 wickets. All of us agree that this is a bowling era. Is it fair to say that there's a greater or there's a stronger case to be made to play five bowlers in a more of a batting era than a bowling era? Like if you have great bowlers and you have better pitches, isn't this the time for you to back your four bowlers to do the job? I'm not particularly talking about India. I'm just saying in general the theory that you have.
Well, I mean, a batting era suggests that, bowling attacks are not that deep. So it's unlikely that teams will have five bowlers good enough to take wickets. The idea is not to play five bowlers. The idea is to play five wicket takers, and to have at least four wicket takers and a fifth one to relieve them, So because if you look at the Lord's Test, the fifth day, with four bowlers, I don't think India would have bowled out England on the fifth day in 50 overs. Because they had, Siraj coming and taking breaking stands. Then they had Ishant Sharma breaking stands. Then they had Jasprit Bumrah breaking stands. In the beginning, they had Mohammad Shami taking wickets. You need to have that constant threat. I mean, see, if you bowl 80 overs in a day, and if you have only two good bowlers, then 40 of those overs are not going to pose any threat. They are conceding those overs to the opposition. This is not obvious, but it is significant. It's the same as having a batting lineup with one great batsman and five average batsmen. Where there are five walking wickets and one great batsman. What is the one great batsman going to do? He's not going to play all the time. And with the bowling, it's even worse. Because the batsman can at least bat from one end, and until the player gets out, they're still there. Only the other end is available. But the bowler cannot just bowl from one end all day. It's a huge effort, especially fast bowling. So you have to have bowling depth. You cannot compete with England in England if you are only realistically chasing wickets in half the overs you bowl. It's just not possible. And you're not going to have the ability to chase wickets in 80 or 90% of your overs unless you have four really wicket-taking bowlers. And Jadeja and Ashwin, as good as they are not going to be wicket-taking frontline, wicket-taking threats on the first, second, and third day of a Test match in England. Especially in these three grounds, they're just not. There's nothing in the wicket for them. There's no help. It's like James Anderson bowling in India. Okay, he takes 2 or 3 wickets in a match, but he's not really a mainstay. He cannot compete with Ashwin in India. Ashwin is going to bowl 30 overs in a day and take 7 or 8 wickets in a Test match. And James Anderson is not going to do that. He's not. England cannot. Even if James Anderson bowls like 15 great overs in a day, the other 75 overs are still there for India to play against in when England play in India. No, that's where they lose. It's not that James Anderson is not good enough. It's that he's not able to bowl long enough. That is where Test matches are won. No, the test match is not won by your best player. It is won by who your worst player is and how much better he is than the opposition's worst player.
I have a bit of a problem in defining depth as the fifth bowler. I can understand two great bowlers and two not so great bowlers, that can be found out. But if you have four really good bowlers, the argument that a fifth good bowler is going to make a difference on pitches like this, that doesn't sound great. I mean, I'm absolutely okay with playing Jadeja, because Jadeja is not.
That's true, but if you're playing four fast bowlers, then you need someone to relieve them. And India's tragedy right now is that none of their batsmen are bowling at all. If India had Sehwag or somebody, who's bowling, I don't think Jadeja would play. If India had Sehwag or Ganguly
or Sachin,
or Tendulkar, yeah. I don't think, or Yuvraj Singh even. I don't think this guy would play. What's his name? Jadeja.
Hanuman Vihari can.
But they don't. This is the problem. They don't have, and none of their fast bowlers can bat at all. And okay, Mohammad Shami is going to score 50 once in a lifetime, but he can't bat. And none of their batsmen can bowl. So, unfortunately, outside India, it's just not on most of the time to play two spin bowling all-rounders. So that's what it. It's not like. The objection I have to all these people, is that it's not like there are obvious options which India are missing. They're not.
Which I have to actually, it all puts me in mind of the early days in which another Indian captain genuinely believed that five bowlers are the way to go. And this was the 2006 test in Mumbai when Dravid dropped Lakshman to play five bowlers. India ended up losing that test, and he got roasted for that decision for playing five bowlers. And the interesting shift is that back then India had to leave out like a world-class batsman to accommodate five bowlers. Now they're leaving out a world-class bowler to accommodate five bowlers. Even though that is sort of telling you it's both a good thing and a bad thing, right? It's great because they have so much bowling depth and they can afford to leave out an all-time great for five bowlers for the conditions. But it's also like sometimes you feel the great bowler must play, like Ashok obviously feels. Yeah.
But the sixth batsman is never going to help you. It's like if you play four bowlers, they're going to concede more than five bowlers.
No, in a series where the average is less than 30, the average is about 27, 28. I don't understand how a fifth bowler is going to add such a substantial level. Okay, he's going to give you some relief and whatever. But even in the Lord's Test that you talked about, I think how many overs India had to bowl? 67, 68 overs? And you had four high-quality bowlers. So, I have absolutely no objection to Kohli playing Jadeja. But I'm not buying into this premise that somehow a fifth bowler is going to make the attack a lot better than four good bowlers. Especially in conditions like this.
And also to add to your point, Kartikeya, it's like when you have number 8 to 11 who can't bat, then it fully makes sense to have a sixth batsman in there.
I'm not convinced. I don't like, look, in this test match, this Headingley, if you play, I don't know, if you take out Jadeja and play Vihari or whoever, play Tendulkar, let's take a hypothetical. You play Tendulkar himself in this. And let's say he scores 120 runs in the match, right? That's still not enough, right? That's still not enough. That's not.
It's still not enough, but it's not like it is not enough because of losing out on Jadeja's bowling. It's not
right,
because
but it's not a play for competitiveness. No, it's a play for respectability. It's a.
No, how is playing Jadeja a play for competitiveness? Can you elaborate on that?
Because Jadeja gives you control. No, Jadeja in this series, in these 3 test matches, Jadeja has bowled his overs and conceded less than 2.5 an over. He's giving Kohli so much control. When Kohli has to rest his fast bowlers, which inevitably he must, because they don't all bowl spells of equal length, then you cannot have like a 4 or 5 over spell where you concede 30 runs.
No, that's a problem. No, if you claim you have 4 great fast bowlers and they all have immense control, one of the arguments, let's say, against Ashwin is that these guys can take wickets and these guys are more threatening in these conditions. Now, if you argue that these are 4 great bowlers, 4 really high quality bowlers, you would expect them to go through a 80-90 over day without needing rest. And especially in conditions like these where it's not like you're conceding 550 runs.
No, but you're not giving yourself any leeway, no, then.
That's what I'm saying. You are adding buffer after having 4 high quality bowlers. Yeah. At the same time, you have 3 out of form batsmen or whatever you want to call it, batsmen short of runs, and you're not adding buffer there. I'm not questioning Kohli's choice here. I'm just questioning your logic here.
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, fine. So you play the 6th batsman. What difference will it make? All it will do is that it will give the bowling absolutely no breathing room at all. There will be no Jadeja is not there to bowl like those 10-15 overs until the new ball, and you'll concede like 25 runs extra because whoever is going to bowl like long ups every other twice or
no, but that logic, every team should be playing a 5th bowler for the sake of rotation, right? I mean, if New Zealand has 4, not all of them.
I mean, England are playing 5 bowlers, Australia are playing 5 bowlers. Everybody wants 5 bowlers. The only great team I can think of which did not want 5 bowlers was Steve was Australia, and
the current Australian team, who's the 5th bowler?
Cameron Green.
Okay.
Everybody in the world wants a bowling all-rounder, man. That's like the whole.
No, they might want, but they're not going to get it. It's extremely scarce. Like to get a genuine test bowling all-rounder, fast bowling all-rounder is extremely scarce. It's not. You're not going to turn around. Forget a Botham. Even someone like Flintoff or even Chris Woakes is not easy to find.
I think Pat Cummins is like the. I mean, apart from Ben Stokes, I think Pat Cummins is among the better batsmen among all the fast bowlers in the world today.
Yeah, Mitchell Starc, Pat Cummins, they're all pretty good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Also, you'd need a bowler to quickly get the overs in like Jadeja because WTC points are docked if you don't maintain the over rate. And Jadeja comes in.
You cannot pick a guy just for that, man. Come on.
You're playing for WTC points, and if 2 points get docked and you don't make the final, that'll hurt you. So
are you kidding?
You better start playing people for WTC points.
You might as well.
I think we're being grossly unfair about Jadeja here. I mean, he is going to walk into the team as an all-rounder pretty much in every team around the world. There's no question about it. I was just prodding Katie on the point that somehow playing a 6 batsman is not competitive. That is my point.
I have no problem whether the 5th bowler is Jadeja or Ashwin, because I don't think there's any particular difference between their batting. I mean, I am in a minority on this, but I do think that.
No, actually, I'm the reverse. The more I see the series, the more I'm agreeing with Ashoka that Jadeja should bat in the top 5.
This is what I say, opinions which are considered like ridiculous first, and then 1 year later, people are like, see, even that is good. Good that you caught on very quickly, Sidhu.
And also, another opinion, which of course has become world famous now, is about the Karunanidhi of cricket, who of course we should talk about, James Anderson, who continues to torment the heck out of us.
I refuse to talk about this subject, just as I refuse to talk about Rohit Sharma.
What? James Anderson has been bowling the same spell in England for 10 years now. Okay, maybe 10 years is an exaggeration.
You make that sound like a bad thing. He's
outstanding. Spell after spell after spell, he's outstanding. Sometimes he gets 3 wickets and everyone says, oh, awesome. And sometimes he doesn't get a wicket and suddenly they say, oh, well, is he losing it or something? He's not losing it. Sometimes he doesn't get a wicket, sometimes he does. But he's good. I mean, his ability to adjust his length is just phenomenal. And this is the thing also. Every time you see like these commentators, like Twitter is like one enormous window into the soul of the Indian cricket fan. And every time the cricket fan they'll see like this super slow-mo of like the batsman defending and the ball taking the edge. And all of them think, well, bat is so far away from the pad, the bat is pushing out and this and that. And it's always because he's been beaten in the length. No, it's never because they've been beaten in the line. The reason they're pushing out is because they've lost their shape, because they've been beaten in the length and they aren't fully forward or they aren't back. So they're slightly off balance. That's what happened to Kohli against Robinson. you see his front leg is his front knee is completely straight when he plays that ball. That's because the length has beaten him, and that is really phenomenal thing that all these English bowlers have. Anderson is a real master of that. His ability to drag his length back by a couple of feet and then push it further a couple of feet, and there are about 4 or 5 different variations of length that he does. It's just wonderful. And that guy, I mean, I know we're talking about Anderson, but that guy Ollie Robinson is a find.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic, and he started his career. I mean, some people forget he just started his career last year, and
he has a big first-class record.
Yeah, and international career, and then he also had like a break. He had to take that break because the ECB told him to, because of the tweets that he had posted long back. But the fact is that given all that, he looks like he looks quite polished already.
He's like an English Hazelwood, man.
Hazelwood, yeah. But so you're saying on the first day that you're saying that 78 all out. A few things on that. I mean, firstly, it seemed to me like the 36 all out, where India were basically not playing and missing as much as just nicking the first good ball that, the batsmen were nicking the first good ball that they get, and which again was an outlier like it was with 36. Or is there any bit that attributes it to poor batting? I didn't think so.
They were beaten 77. They were beaten 77 times in 40 overs, man. So,
which is a lot, right?
Nearly twice an over, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know, but Karthikeya perhaps can throw numbers on this. But, compared to Adelaide, I thought here, if you look at KL Raoul's dismissal or Kohli's dismissal or even Pujara's dismissal, it's like the first mistake that they made. Like the first fault that they have committed while batting, it resulted in a dismissal. Like there were hardly any play and misses,
Yeah, that's true. It is all when the ball is seaming, in England especially, everything is about the length. If the length makes the batsman drive, then if the bowler is trying to force the batsman to drive, then or the bowler is trying to lure the batsman into a drive, then the bowler has succeeded, even if it goes for 4. Because if it's seaming, then there's an even chance that it will miss. And that I don't know. Crickwiz had a stat. That was this combined seam and swing was over 2 degrees in that first innings. Whereas when India bowled on the second day, it was less than 1 degree. So that's a big difference, man. And there's basically nothing the batsman can do. When the ball is moving like 2.2 inches, after pitching, if you say that it's, let's say 15 feet from the point of pitching to the back, or from a good length, then if the ball is traveling at, let's say, 70 miles an hour, then that is what 0.14 seconds or something like that. The human beings cannot adjust that quickly. They have to play the line, and if they're committed to drive, then so they cannot adjust at all. So there is a method of batting against that, which all these commentators tell you. You have to hold your line, you have to play late, you have to. But even then you have to be lucky. And in the current Indian batsman, like Kohli, is very aggressive outside off stump. He doesn't want to concede that 4th and 5th stump line to the bowler for long. So he does for some time, but then he thinks he can score runs there. And England are willing to test him on that. England is basically saying that, okay, fine, if you think you can score. We'll leave the cover open and we'll give you balls over there. And so far, he's been nicking off. But I think the oval and stuff where the ball doesn't seem as much, he'll be more successful. So I don't really. It's like these are good players, but it's not like they're going to become a different player overnight. And it's not clear that any other player, it doesn't happen like that. No, players don't just become a different player overnight. It's really hard to do that. So I'm not sure what they're going to do. Of course, they're going to make small tweaks in their method and all, like KL Rahul is done. And there was, I think, video study of that in one of the breaks or something. But it's not like suddenly they're going to turn into Tendulkar or suddenly they're going to turn into some tail ender.
Suddenly they're going to turn into Tendulkar who shelved the cover drive.
And that is quite funny. In fact, KD responded to that quite well on Twitter. I mean, you're talking about a match in which, I don't know, they scored nearly 1,000 runs,
700 runs, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, in the entire history of the game, there have been only 5 test matches where more runs were scored than in that test match. And all those 5 were like timeless tests. Thousands of overs were bowled, man.
No, I mean, you can give us such an example, but surely not that test, even if you wanted to.
So, I mean, come on. James Anderson has dismissed Tendulkar 9 times for 208 runs, man. It's not like, this old generation of players were like, hammering hundreds against seam bowling. They were not.
I mean, Sanjay Bangar and Rahul Dravid at Headingley. Okay, come on, KD.
Yeah.
Okay, now you will throw me the bowling lineup that day. Don't do that. Don't start.
The history of Indian cricket is basically 3 matches, 2 of which were under Ganguly's captaincy.
Hang on. Now that you brought it up, Ganguly's captaincy, he won the toss. He batted first. He played 2 spinners, and see what we got.
Exactly.
That is what brave captaincy is about.
And spinners won us the match at Headingley.
Hey, I don't want to comment. I've been quiet all along because I know in the end you guys will validate my point of view only. I just want to let you guys go around the park and then come back to the correct point of view.
Which is what?
Shardul Thakur should play.
Which is, of course, Shardul should play, Ashwin should play. I think we should drop all the batting order and then replace it with Vihari and Surya Kumar Yadav, the rising star of Mumbai Indians. Mayank, yes, of course.
I really hope they play Vihari soon. Otherwise, he's going to become the next Pujara, where they'll say, he doesn't have an IPL contract, therefore they don't play him. And, I really hope we don't go through another Pujara. The poor guy cannot live through that pain. Just going back to Kohli, I think one of the things which I found very interesting through the series is that, like Katie pointed out, he seems to be quite aggressive outside the off stump. And even while defending, it's one thing to play the drive. Even while he's defending, he pushes his bat out so far in front of the pad, which is, in fact, none of the current batsmen do. Perhaps Rahane does. Rohit or Rahul or Pujara, for instance, unless they're playing a drive. Of course, they can play a drive and nick off. But unless they are playing a drive, they don't take the bat so far in front to even defend. That's one thing about Kohli. The other thing that I've noticed, particularly in this series, is that you go for the booming drive only if you're reasonably sure of the length. And in each occasion that Kohli went for the drive, a couple of occasions he got out, but even when he didn't get out, like the review that he had yesterday, in that over, he went for it twice, once missing by, in fact, on both occasions, he missed by quite a big margin. I'm a little surprised that he seems to be going for these drives consistently and seems to be missing them by substantial margins. And even when he's getting caught, he's not getting caught in the gully or point or third slip or whatever. He's getting caught by the keeper. Now, I'm just surprised. So, is he not watching the ball closely enough? As in, it could be anything. I am a little surprised that for someone of his standards, he seems to be missing it by such a big margin and of relatively full-length balls.
Why are you surprised? He's keeping his ego in his pocket, dude.
Okay.
And he's not attempting those shots. No, sorry, he's attempting the shot every time. So he's not.
The dismissal of Robinson, I can understand. He was tentative and whatever. Like the similar example in the first test, for instance. But some of these drives and missing by such a big margin so consistently, even when he was not getting out. And he's not like, if he's not played, it's not like, he's hit 10 cover drives and missed 2. He's not even hit too many cover drives. So it seems to be like a question of confidence. It seems to be a question of him trying to stamp his authority without even, perhaps when he's not batting really well.
He did make 55, man. Come on. It's not like he made 40 in the last game. He made 55 this game. Okay, he has made 100, but that's different from, it's not like he's made 17 runs in 3 test matches.
No, which is what surprises me even more. If he made 17 runs in 3 innings, that's perfect, right? I can understand he's not batting well. Probably he's not seeing the ball properly or whatever. Now, when a batsman is in reasonable nick, to miss him by such a big margin, especially when he's attempting to play a drive, a full-fledged drive, it's I don't know. I can't remember too many batsmen going through something like this. Perhaps it's just me reading.
Root has been phenomenal. Root is just everything is perfect. He's playing late. He's reading the length brilliantly. I mean, it's just except for Jasprit Bumrah, he has the measure of every other Indian bowler. It's an incredible player.
And even that dismissal, right? I mean, it had to be a very, very special delivery to take that Bales off, man. I mean, otherwise Root was going to get us to 200, 250 in this innings. He didn't look like he was getting out.
No, I mean, through the series, whenever he has got out, I mean, it has required something special. I mean, that Lord's ball in the second innings to get him, the Bumrah ball, and then this one. I mean, it has required that exceptional.
But, I mean, we are
control.
seeing that now. But coming into this series, he averaged 30 in the last 2 or 3 years in England. So he's been through his bad run.
Oh yeah. I mean, of course, but ever since I think they went to Sri Lanka, right? Sri Lanka was the start of his.
Even before that,
but that doesn't count. That's a completely different game, against the spinners and all that. That in India, Sri Lanka, and all is different. But
even this summer, he didn't have a great series against New Zealand.
Yeah, but even then, in England, in Kohli's case, he's only played 11 Test matches. I mean, people have had 11 Test matches without 100. Many times. Tendulkar has had 11 Test matches without 100. Okay, not really, but he got to play Bangladesh a couple of times and got 100.
No, but 11 Tests. Tendulkar in England, the bar is very high.
No, in England, yes, but I mean, come on, Alan Mullally, everybody doesn't get to play bat against Alan Mullally and Dominic Cork.
No, I mean, there's got to be some...
Alex Tudor.
No, if your whole argument is that Sachin didn't face these bowlers or Gavaskar didn't face these bowlers, that can't be the argument, right?
No, it's not. I mean, Tendulkar was a genius. I mean, he was a very, 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 very great player. You're not going to find that, it comes maybe once in 50 years. You're not going to find that. But come on, he's not the standard, man. He's not the bar.
But Kartikeya, sorry, if you take England, Indian batsman averages in England, there is these guys, I mean, Dravid, Tendulkar, Gavaskar, Vensarkar, all of them are way ahead. I mean, you can say anything you want about their bowling and all that.
Ganguly, you're missing out Ganguly because the Kartikeya is here. Say Ganguly, 65 average.
Exactly. I mean, what is this? I mean, you cannot suddenly say that you cannot just put everything to the bowling. I mean, Dhoni averages more, man. Come on. I completely accept that we are in the bowling era, bowler-friendly era. We have all teams have. I mean, England is a really, really potent attack, and probably I would even give you the fact that they are probably more potent than what batsmen of the past faced. Though I'm not sure about Gavaskar. Gavaskar back then, I think, faced some really good bowlers in English conditions as well. But
there's
even
nobody
then,
there's nobody in the current Indian side who's as good as Gavaskar or Tendulkar. They were great players, man.
Yeah, but you're talking Virat Kohli, who you would agree is
Dravid and Vengsarkar as well, right? It's not just Gavaskar.
Dravid, Vensarkar, Azhar. I mean, I can go through the list if you want. I mean,
once again, I will add Ganguly.
Yeah, but you look at their records away from home, and you look at the current players' records away from home. They're not. I mean, Vengsarkar and Pujara have a similar record away from home, man. Rahane has a better record than Vengsarkar away from home. Kohli has a better record than almost everybody except for Tendulkar away from home.
Yeah, sure. Away from home, no doubt.
You cannot it's like, come on, your standard for batting cannot be two of the greatest players in the game.
I do have some sympathy for what KD says in this at large. While I don't completely buy into it, I was just looking at the averages for all the series that India has played. Right now the current series average is about 28 runs per wicket. The last one that we played in 2018 is about 27.8. But before that, even 2014, where Kohli struggled, was 32.78. 2011 was 38. And 2007, which India won, was about 36 almost. 2002, which was Dravid's best summer, for instance, had an average of 46. Both Vaughan and Dravid had a phenomenal summer, partly because of the conditions. And 96, which was a sort of, if you remember the Western innings, it was a bowler-friendly sort of test match. But overall, it's about 36. So if you have to go back to an Indian series with lower average per wicket than now is probably 1986. And in that series, of course, Venksakkar had a phenomenal series with the bat. Or if you have to go back further in time, it's probably 1971 where the average was 27.75. So there's some merit to arguing that last two series have been very, very hard to bat, and you can't extrapolate some of the easier scoring series versus this and say those batsmen would have done better and so on.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the records here. Like when Dilip Venksakkar averaged 32 in Sena, which is Sena and West Indies.
No, I said don't take Venksakkar. Venksakkar is known for. In fact, Venksakkar was the Pujara before Pujara. Except
Rahane
for
averages 41 outside. Rahane averages 41 outside Asia. Virender Sehwag averages 35. Azharuddin averages 35. Paulie Umbriger 38. KL Rahul 30. Farooq Engineer 33. Rishabh Pant 34.
What about Jimmy?
Where is Jimmy Amarnath? Jimmy Amarnath averages 48. There are basically like 4 players who average. Let's see. There are how many? There are Tendulkar, Dravid, Gavaskar, Lakshman, Kohli, Ganguly, Rahane, Amarnath.
Ganguly is the key.
Amarnath.
So that's why we draw the line, Kiddy.
There are 8 Indian batsmen who average more than 40 away from home.
And what is their home average? It's surely not as bad as Rahane's.
That I don't know. That I'll have to know.
So like you have someone who's marginally better away compared to, let's say, even below Ganguly. That's a low bar to start with. And then his home average is not even as good as them. Now, and we can't.
Home average is worse. Ganguly's home average is pretty bad.
Rahane's is not great.
That's true.
My point is that this whole, this is a bowling era of better wickets, better bowlers can't negate the fact that they're still having an extended sort of lean run. When I say extended, Rahane averages a little over 35 over the last 50 tests. Now, very few Indian batsmen have gotten away with it. When I say gotten away, I mean, everybody's been dropped in the past with a record like that. I can't imagine any outrage for any of those people who would have been dropped.
Yeah, but the outrage is misplaced. No, they should not have been dropped because they were not responsible for losing. I mean, you don't get dropped for not scoring runs. You get dropped because you lose. It's the same reason they sack captains in bad administrations. After a series defeat, the captain is not responsible for any of that, but they still sack them because you need a scalp. You drop a player because you think he's not good enough.
No, but Mahesh, suppose hypothetically, if they do drop Rahane, I don't think there will be an outrage, will there?
I mean, in fact, if anything, 2018 he had a greater case to be dropped when they did drop him in South Africa. My goodness, the level of outrage for that. That's also my issue with Ashwin, right? Even if it makes perfect sense to not play Ashwin, I'm saying show some amount of outrage for this. You guys were arguing as if the first principles of cricket was denied there.
Well, of course there's outrage. Have you not been reading? I mean, Mukul Kesan and Anand Vasu, everybody is up in arms
but
about
But Siddharth Monga is not writing. But Siddharth Monga wrote about it then. Your friend Siddharth Monga outraged so much about Rahane's drop.
Yeah, but
guys, didn't I not say it's a criminal offense not to play Ashwin? It is written in the Indian law, man. What are you guys saying outrage? It is plain illegal.
No, I'm saying Siddharth Monga was writing about it for 18 months. Even after the whole away season ended, he said the Indian team could have done better by not dropping Rahane for Rohit. That was just outrageous.
But Mahesh, the part of the reason for the outrage then was also the guy who was picked, right? I mean, if Rahane is today dropped for
Rohit Sharma was picked, no?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
the funny part was Rohit in the last innings that he played scored 48. In the first innings, Rahane came back, he scored 48. And everybody says this is why Rahane should never have been dropped. I'm like, it was a perfect
Listen, to be fair to Rahane, that Wanderers innings was very good. Okay? I mean,
to be fair to Rohit, the previous innings was also good,
Look, here's the thing. I am always going to defend any selection decision they make. Okay? Because if they drop Rahane, it's reasonable. If they don't drop Rahane, also reasonable. Right? If they drop Ashwin, reasonable. There's a good reason for it. If they play Ashwin, also reasonable. I cannot turn a marginal decision into an outrage. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do it.
See, this is the guy who said it is reasonable for Vijay Shankar to go to the World Cup in favor of So we should never be talking to this fellow, first of all.
It was a reasonable decision. It was a very good idea.
KD, please don't say this aloud in public.
Ashoka, the thing with KD is he will stick to his guns, even after the event. So that has to be respected.
Just because something doesn't work doesn't mean it's not a bad idea.
That's true. That's true.
Just because something doesn't work doesn't mean there's an obviously better idea which was missed. It's not true.
I mean,
just like at the toss in the beginning of this test match, nobody was complaining or shocked that Kohli had chosen to bat first. It was only at like 67 for 5 that they started saying, "Oh, what a terrible decision." In hindsight, I would never lose a test match, man. I would play every ball perfectly. I would play from both ends. I would bowl from both ends. I would field every ball. Everything would be perfect. I would never lose. Mr. Kesavan, for example, he says that the essay which came out this week about control and skill, which was essentially about what does the control measure tell you about skill? That was what it was about. And then most people got it. And Mr. Kesavan published an article saying, I just read an essay on a cricketing website that makes the monstrous claim that the miserable recent batting averages of Kohli and Pujara tell us nothing about that form. That apparently must only be measured by a new metric, that control percentage. How wrong, of course. Once you absolve a batsman of the responsibility for their failures, you forsake the most refined pleasure that Test cricket has to offer, the post-mortem. But I'm also doing post-mortems, no?
No, hang on.
Or am I not?
In your essay, you did make a distinction between Kohli and Pujara. So that is not even true that you are making the same case for both of them.
No, but why is it a post-mortem only if you abuse somebody?
Because the Indian cricket fans are wired that way, KD. Don't you get it?
English cricket fans are also wired that way. All of them are fucking wired that way. Sorry.
Your outrage against outrageous cricket fans is quite cute. Huh? We have to document this.
Yeah, just like it's how you look at these people, probably that's how they look at Kohli. So it's okay, just cut some slack for them.
And also that Kesavan's line on you might well have been in jest. Huh? I don't think you have to take it so seriously. Also.
No, it is funny. I agree. I think Kesavan is a very stylish writer. I do enjoy reading what he says.
Yeah, Kesavan also
his allusions as Anthea Bell and in Goscinny and Uderzo and the Asterix, the creators of Asterix would have been proud of his allusions.
Yeah, terrific writer. We all love reading him. But let us move on to. But okay, there's one point though that I was checking. So I was thinking that. Okay, we are living in the bowler-friendly era, and it's high time we get used to these sub-100 collapses, first of all. I mean, every time a team collapses for less than 100, whether it's India 36 and here, or whether it's England in Ahmedabad, which was the great 81 all-out, or whether it is, whatever. It's high time we say, okay, every fourth match or every fifth match, it will happen. But then, interestingly, I went back and checked. The frequency of sub-100 collapses has not drastically changed or anything. Like over the last 20-25 years, if you take like five-year periods, a similar number of sub-100 collapses keep happening. So
what has changed? One, we are playing a lot more test matches in the last, let's say, 20 years overall. Plus, a lot more of them get televised. In an era where test cricket is apparently dying, we are playing more test matches. A lot more of it which is getting televised, and a lot more of it is being talked about. Like even when Australia is sleeping, and the collapse that they had in South Africa, for instance, they still talked about it. Like it was not forgotten, I'm saying. So in a way, it's a credit to the fact that so many people care about Test cricket, and there's so much of it happening right now. That this triggers some really bizarre reaction, and it's always easier to judge. Like this is one of KD's repetitive points, right? That it is easier to demonize batsmen. It's the easiest piece of cricket action to judge because you can always separate it. Like you don't consider what's happened before. You don't even have to consider what the bowler has done or what's happened till the ball is pitched. You only judge the final piece of action where he's poking at it, right? It's the easiest piece of cricketing action to judge. And when you get a collapse like this, you're always saying, oh, he need not have played that ball. as if that is a standalone action independent of everything else that's happening in cricket.
I mean, that is the highlights-oriented view of cricket, right? You see highlights and then you say that, okay, because all you see is the batsman nicking. And then you say, okay,
it's not even a highlights thing. The problem is more, it's more acute. It is a highlights only for batsmen. Like if you see a team conceding 600 runs, you're not going to outrage as much. If you see 5 consecutive test matches of 600 runs, you're not going to outrage at all. You'll complain about pitches or whatever. You're not going to complain about bowlers.
No, but I'm still thinking about asterisks, and then I'm thinking that, as time passes, the bad batting collapses are like Alicia. It's like, the Gauls always never remember the Battle of Alicia, because that's where, the Romans beat them. It's like that. In 2002, for example, Annus Mirabilis of the Ganguly era, India were bowled out for less than 125 three times. They lost all 3 test matches. Off the top of your head,
fake news.
How many people do you think can list them? Not many.
Was one in West Indies?
Of course, Barbados, 102 all out.
They won in Barbados, yeah.
Yes. And then there was the 2 in New Zealand, 121 all out, 99 all out. Of course.
That series is forgotten, by the way. That series
Ganguly says was played on Gardens.
No, Harbhajan Singh said it, man. That is one humorous comment. Don't credit it to Ganguly.
Sorry.
It was Harbhajan Singh's comment.
I have some sympathy for Harbhajan Singh when encountered with such pitches.
They were gardens. They were gardens. Correct description.
Even in that series, Dravid scored a 50, Sachin scored a 50. Classy batsmen always find a way. They don't.
And Sehwag scored.
He scored in one days, not in tests.
Oh, okay. 1 days, I think. Yeah, one with Ashish Nehra. No, he wins that.
He scored.
No. See, there's one thing to have a test where both teams are collapsing and both teams are falling. Okay, that is one thing. I think the stark collapses, at least in people's minds, are the ones like these, where a team scores 78 and another team scores 400. Obviously then the mind thinks that something is wrong, right? One set of batsmen are scoring and one set of batsmen are not. But the point is, on days like this and on collapses like this, when we are saying that, the batsmen were so unlucky that the very first mistake they made was nicked off, there is so much to be said about the bowling. This is purely great, very good bowling, right? Bowling that adjusted
that's true, but it's not just that. No, these collapses are also a function of trying to be more competitive. That is paradoxical, because part of being competitive in Test cricket is to sacrifice batting for bowling. So there are going to be times when you're going to come up short, but to compensate for that, there are also going to be Test matches you're going to win, like Lords, which you wouldn't otherwise win.
But Kelly, are you crediting the Lord's victory for playing 5 bowlers? I thought it was about Kohli's intent and captaincy and how mentally strong they became after Anderson said whatever he said to Bumrah. Don't change the script. We just did a 1 hour 45 minutes podcast.
Yeah. And KL Rahul said, right, if you come after one of us, you come after all of us.
And Bumrah himself said, you give me 1x, I'll give you 10x back.
Yeah.
Okay. When have you ever heard when have you heard a cricketer say, why are you asking me? They said it about my teammate. I'm not involved. When did a cricketer ever say that?
Okay.
I think Sachin said that during Monkey Gate, I think. He said, why are you asking me? I don't know anything.
Sachin Tendulkar.
No, he didn't say that.
I don't know this for sure. I have a suspicion that Sachin Tendulkar actually went before the judge and told a white lie to protect Harbhajan Singh.
Yeah, all the Australian players say so. In fact, Gilchrist writes so also, saying how disappointed all of them were.
That's what I'm basing it on in Gilchrist's book.
Yeah. They all genuinely believe that Tendulkar stood up for Harbhajan wrongly, even though he heard exactly what was said. So,
when have you ever seen a cricket team where they're all like washing their linen in public? Okay, the current Australian team is separate because they are fighting with the coach, but that's different.
There will be exceptions always. The Greg Chappell era is a classic case.
Sorry, are you trying to undermine the fact that the team were united after that incident? Like, really, are you saying that it's just because there were 4 quality bowlers and not?
When are they not united, man?
You mean no? It's not united. This is galvanized. That is the word to use.
It's not aluminum, man. It's cricket team.
That's the headline of this podcast. This is not aluminum, it's a cricket team.
What? People say random things. They say like, the 3, 4, 5 is the backbone of the cricket team. Kuch bhi bolta hai public.
So I have to bring Ashoka here now, because in the previous pod he had bravely spoken about Dawid Malan, and see where we are now. Again, we are crediting Ashoka for his foresight.
See, that is the thing.
And Ashoka also, I think this reinforces the point that 2020 is where true test talent is.
Yeah. And now we have moved past that. I think that is old news. Now 100 is where the Liam Livingstone is going to be a future test superstar. And I'm saying this today, you'll all laugh, but then 5 years later, you'll come back and say, see, you told that day only. So anyways,
it's quite unfortunate Ed Smith is not the selector. Otherwise, we would have come back to you and told you in 6 months itself.
Dawid Malan was a great addition, man. And he got very, very lucky with, superb conditions. He got to put 10 and put 70 runs. And that too, if he had not touched that ball, he would have also scored century. Down the leg, he just nicked one.
And the last ball before tea, that was.
Yeah. So he would have got another century, and I would have been further, validated. But anyways, I'll take 70 for now.
And anyway, now I think his spot is fixed. He may score a century in the next match, for all you know.
Yeah. They were saying once he crossed 30, they were saying he's a permanent fixture for the Ashes, and also they have made like 1 year plan down the line.
He's already scored 100 in Waka as well. So absolute certainty.
That is the interesting thing in this series. It's remarkable how many wickets have fallen at the end of a session.
Yeah, Rohit Rahane.
Bairstow, Malan, Rahane, Rohit Sharma.
Rahane did it twice, right?
Yeah.
Pujara beginning of a session, but anyways.
Most importantly, Ashoka, are we detecting the beginnings of IPL second team in your universe? I know nobody can replace CSK.
What do you mean in my universe? Do you mean reality? That is what you're meaning, right?
Dawid Malan, Ashwin, all Punjab IPL players.
Yes, of course. And you just said Pujara got lucky that he got 3 balls on the leg side, but I have a different theory. This is like a curtain raiser for his CSK stint. We have still 7 more matches to play in September, and I am sure he's going to get a game. And word must have come from CSK management saying, boss, show us what you got. And he delivered. See, 91 with 15 boundaries. So,
Ashoka, if you think Pujara is going to get a game, then you think CSK are definitely not going to make the playoffs.
100% he will play, 100% we will win. Or at least we'll go to the finals. I don't know about...
And lose against Mr. Ambani.
And lose against Mumbai, obviously. So...
couldn't resist. It is Rohit's team, boss.
Oh, now it has become Rohit's team. Now, like Modi's India, this is now Rohit's Mumbai.
Yeah. 250s that guy has made. Suddenly, all the Rohit fans have come out of woodwork, and now they are. Now you can't have anything said against them because, see, this guy has 4 innings of 100 balls. It seems he has withstood. Now that they will not shut up about this for the next 20 years.
Sid, I think our friend is angling to start the Rohit Sharma Puran. So.
I said, I'm quite disappointed that he's batting so well. Like my role is reduced now. Everybody is praising Rohit Sharma.
What do you mean he's batting so well? What do you mean he's batting so well? What is the use of surviving 100 balls and 80 balls and so many balls and never getting out cheaply and never making 100?
No, see, basically he's been trying to get out in conventional ways, right? And he's not able to get out. Now he doesn't have a choice, He's got to try something,
But you see, that's the point. You see, where to see why the whole length is so important, you have to just watch Rohit Sharma bat. Rohit Sharma has not been out edging in too often in England, right? I don't think he's got out. He's edged maybe once or twice.
I think World Test Championship final, I think he edged twice.
Yeah, and then in Trent Bridge, right? Once, I think, in the first innings. But mostly he's been out on the hook or some weird way, right? And that's because he picks the length earlier than most players. And it's because that lets him get in position with more time to spare. That's what it appears like. because he's read the length earlier than most other players. That's why he seems to be so calm and relaxed and whatnot. He's sort of enervating almost to watch. I've always thought that Kohli and Ponting are very much more hand players than eye players. In that they are so aggressive and they want to get forward and commit forward and control that good length on and around off stumps so much that they are committed forward, and so they have to rely on their hands to meet the ball well, and they still meet the ball well because they have incredible eye and incredible hands, really fast hands. But that sometimes it's not enough, when the ball seams and stuff. That's why you see and when the eye goes, they decline really fast. That's what happened to Ponting. When his eye sort of slowed down a little bit, it made a big difference. It moved him from like a 60 averaging player to a 45 averaging player. And maybe that's happening to Kohli now. I don't know, but I've always thought that Kohli, the player he reminded me of, was Ponting. See, the other thing is that Rohit Sharma, for example, he was bowled by Anderson for 80 odd. Was I think at Lords, right? So that happens very rarely to Rohit Sharma. Whereas Kohli and even Ponting, you always got the impression, at least I always got the impression, that they were prepared to allow that, because the trade-off for them was that most times they would score a lot of runs by committing to the front foot. So they will play forward and then they will still play the ball waist high on the front foot, or even higher on the front foot. And because it gives them a lot of runs, because it makes it possible for them to play the ball in front of the wicket, because that's where there are no fielders usually. And that's a trade-off. That's not really necessarily a bad idea. He's trading off runs for the risk of the occasional dismissal, or the risk of occasionally being in a bad position. And what all these people are trying to tell him, I think, and at least this is what I think about Kohli. I might be completely off base here, but what all these people are telling him is that don't do that. And I don't think Kohli is not going to do that, ever going to stop doing that, because that's his entire game. It is to be extremely attacking outside off stump. It is to be he does not want to concede anything to the bowler. And all these people are telling him, well, concede more to the bowler, wait for the bowler to give you something to hit where you can score safely. And he's not going to do that.
Well, that's partly also because he himself said that between 2014 and 2018, the difference in the England tour was that. No, he himself said that part of the reason was for him to curb that initial push and, trying to. So that now it seems like he's gone back to 2014.
No, I think one is what he said, but in reality, the other thing that KD keeps talking about is the fact that his error rate even in 2018 was not significantly different from 14. So he might say that he curbed a lot more, but I don't think he curbed as much as the fact that he played those shots better. I mean, some of that, the sort of different, tentative prod, he might have gotten better, but in terms of driving, he was still driving them even in 2018.
And his eye is phenomenal. And this is not, everybody can't do that. Kohli can do that. So it's not, the point is that there isn't an obvious way to improve any of these players. And it isn't obvious that any other player is going to be even as good as these players. So form is
that is a slippery slope. Then you got to wait for these players to retire. Then in a team with so much abundant talent.
I don't think so. If there is a player, if there is a Tendulkar sitting in the dressing room, fine, they will play him.
But how do you know? How do you know what Vihari will do? How do you know what Gill will do?
They are looking there, but they are looking. No, they're seeing them play every week, every day almost.
Are you saying you can't find a replacement for Rahane who averages 35 over 50 tests? Really, in a country like India?
Where is it?
Where is it? Unless you play, how will you know? Gill got off to a good start. Shaw start off.
Where's the Ranji player averaging 65 right now?
Hanuma Vihari.
Yeah, he's already in the side.
No, why don't you play him in the 11?
They could. I don't know. I don't mind if they play him in the 11.
No, that's what I'm saying.
See, it's not obvious, no.
It is not obvious. But point is that
28. They know what he can do. They have played him, and he scored fewer runs than Rahane.
You can't compare the early stages of a career to someone who's supposed to be at his peak.
So if the point is to make a long-term investment, then fine. But if the point is to get more runs in the next 2 matches, then no. It's not obvious that Vihari is a better option than Rahane. No?
I mean, nothing is obvious for us anyway. I mean, unless as you said, you have a guy.
I mean, I was interested that they took Surya Kumar Yadav to England. I think that suggests that they think that there is a test player there. I don't think they would have taken him otherwise. I mean,
it seems like a judgment call. Yeah, you wouldn't go by his first class record and say.
I mean, his first class record is what, 44 or something. Yeah, his averages,
which is not great at all in Ranji Trophy, right?
Oh yeah, by Ranji standards, that's nothing.
Yeah, and he's a very fast scoring Ranji player also.
Anyway, so Atherton had written in his column about Joe Root, about saying how he has this classical method, staying beside the ball in defense and attack, a technique that allows a batsman to cope with the moving ball as well as arrive in positions to attack it. So that really sort of stood out for me, and I began to think that, how people with a side on staying beside the line of the ball compared to those who don't, the optics is slightly different there as well. I mean, Shubman Gill, for instance, that innings, some of those innings in Australia, you felt like this guy has like that extra 2 seconds of time compared to, a batsman at the other end, like Pujara.
Sehwag also gave that impression, no?
Properly side down, no? Beside the line, yeah.
But that's a function of their technique, right? And like, for instance, when Karthikeya said, the only point I wanted to disagree with him was that, it's not a trade-off. It's not like Ponting and Kohli had another alternative and they chose this. This is their game. Their game involves a certain trade-off, but this is their game. So in a way, this is a bit of an illusion when you say these people have time. I mean, some people genuinely, like Sachin, for instance, was always there for every ball. I mean, for most of the balls. He was rarely late to a ball, right? But with Shubman Gill is a classic example, right? We do not know. He's at a very early stage in his career. He seems like he has a lot of time, but that's really the technique, right? He plays in a particular way, and that technique, everybody who plays in that sort of style creates this illusion of having extra time. So now I don't know, like with Rohit, we have enough sample to say that that extra time that we seem to perceive has a direct impact on his batting. There's something that contributes to his batting. With Gill or with Sehwag or with so many other people, we'll only find out when they play enough. So in a way, it is really an illusion.
Yeah, I'll just one last thing on this whole who should play, who shouldn't. It's entirely reasonable to play Vihari. It's also reasonable to play Rahane. But I will say that I would not put it. I mean, the people talk of this togetherness and united this and united that. It's. If you think, if people are going to say that, no, then they should be prepared to see the argument that, the Indian team management is going to be pig-headed and not drop Rahane or Pujara just because people want their heads. That's also possible, no?
That's absolutely possible. I just wish they did that in 2018 Wanderers.
I'm saying that is more likely. And that is why the outrage. Why do you think there is an outrage?
Oh, outrage is because India lost, man, of course.
That's true. That's the only reason there's an outrage.
The outrage is because the reality didn't conform to my expectations. That is the primary reason for outrage.
No, primary reason is the loss. The rest of them is secondary. Primary reason is the loss.
When you lose, there has to be a scalp. Basically, as Mukul Kesavan puts it so poetically, there has to be a scalp. It is the post-mortem is fun, so that's what people are doing.
Sorry, I want to just touch upon this Pujara knock, and since it's got a lot of mileage since then, I don't think we are at a stage where we know anything more about how Pujara is batting right now after this innings as we did before this innings, in the sense that. If you go by data, if you go by history, he doesn't have a great record in England. That includes county as well. And in this innings, in the first innings, he didn't bat well. Outlier, whatever you want to call it. In the second innings, conditions are a little better. And he got so many hit-me balls that, he's a high-quality test batsman. Naturally, he's going to hit them. And he hit them. And you got the second new ball the next day. And he got out again, sort of in a way, making a mistake of not knowing where his off stump is. So even after scoring 91, even after like all the talks about the fact that he took initiative and he scored runs or whatever, I don't think that this innings revealed anything about Pujara new that we didn't know before. And next test is going to be at Oval, where if the traditional reputation of Oval stays true in this test, he's likely to score runs. So it's kind of amusing how the whole, one innings of such exception where, like you got bowling like we've not got for many, many years in terms of how easy it was. Seems to hint at a turnaround, but I can't think of it as a turnaround at all.
No,
But
it's
how
not a
do you?
turnaround.
But Mahesh, I mean, even if he scores, even the fact that he scored that, and if he scores at the Oval, I mean, even if everything is going in his direction, that still is credit to him, right? That he's scoring.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, even in the last one, I said, I'm not going to drop him. I'm not making a case for us to drop him. All I'm saying is when you're talking about Pujara as a batsman, as a test batsman, you should have some expectation of what he's going to do. Let's say over a period of time, he's going to average 45. That's a fair expectation. He's going to average 55 in India. That's a fair expectation. He's not going to average more than 35 in England. Now, that's a fair expectation. You can't argue against it because you feel like you have a different opinion of Pujara, unless we have different data to establish that point. All I'm saying is that Pujara, coming into the series, if you told me that England will have a session where they're going to bowl so many loose balls, will Pujara score? I would have said yes. We're going to play a test in Oval where it's expected to behave, true to its reputation. I think Pujara will do well. So there's nothing that we have, like, it's not like he's discovered a new facet of his batting or he's changed the way he's batting in England or nothing. It is just what we should have priced in, and that's what we've got.
So you're saying every outrage should have an outrage meter. Should you outrage or not is the question.
No, two things. One is outrage. I mean, I have a lot more sympathy for outrage. The symmetry is my problem where you praise.
What do you mean,
for no reason.
Lot more than what? Me?
Yeah, so we have to say all that aloud.
No. Within me, just within me, I'm saying I have a lot more sympathy for people who outrage for no reason than people who celebrate for no reason.
Okay. Got it. So when he scores the 100 at the Oval, it will be weird.
It's not like Pujara has proven his critics wrong. He's just, shown everybody how to bat in England. It's not any of that. It is what he was expected to do. This is what he should be like. We should have expected him to do.
Got it. So
I mean, it becomes sort of very squalid, no? And like first you say they're ignoring the critics because they're not dropping players who the critics said should be dropped. Then when the player makes runs, you say, well, they proved the critics wrong. Critics seem to be constantly fighting for relevance. This is like.
No, my only fight is I am the only legit critic here. All you guys are.
I know. No. But the other fight is that what Mahesh's point is that what he just said, pricing it in. We do that always for bowlers. Like when Ashwin takes bucket loads of wickets in India, we price that in fully and say, of course, he is taking wickets in India. Ashwin is a great bowler. He's expected. Huh?
Doctored pitches.
Whatever pitches, doctored pitches. But the fact is we never do that for batsmen because that pricing in never comes in for at least certain kind of batsmen who need it, which needs to be done. So that is fair point.
I don't know. See, I think Pujara is a very simple situation, right? There are basically, he has a limited number of scoring shots. Okay. He's going to score from half volleys and he's going to score from long hops. If he doesn't get those, then he's going to defend, right? Now, if you have a bowling attack which can bowl like 50 overs and not give him like more than 2 or 3 of those, then he's going to score 40 in 200 balls or get out in 100 balls or 80 balls or 20 balls or whatever. On the off chance that he gets like a off spinner or something like that, or a left arm spinner who will drop a couple of shots somewhere, he's going to score runs. Now, one of the things is that it used to be that in every test team, every team would have one bowler who, either would be just too attacking or not have like the control of the best, comparable to the best bowler, who who would basically, give you that. But now I think one of the things I think now is that, this video analysis and all, it has basically changed the way bowlers are bowling also. That like, I think there are consequences now for bowlers who, don't execute the plan, because the coach sitting in the dressing room can tell the bowler that, hey, you can show the bowler at the end of the day that, hey, you didn't execute the plan. Whereas previously 20 years ago, I don't know if that was the case. So all that is changing. And I mean, what are the options for Pujara? He has to either invent a new scoring shot, which some
or
players have
take
done.
balls on his body.
Yeah, I mean, he has. I mean, this test match, I think he played a couple of pull shots and stuff, which, he's prepared to do in England, I think, because the wickets are not as quick as the ones in Australia. But what is he supposed to do? And if that's not if that package is not acceptable for India, then what? India should look somewhere else. But
the bottom line is he has to score runs. That is what he's expected to do. I don't think there is any argument about that, right? It doesn't matter how long he's batting, as long as he scores runs.
He is scoring runs, no?
Well, he's scoring now, but there was enough.
It's not like, is your premise that all these bowlers, the same sort of bowlers, bowl with greater control, let's say, in their respective countries as compared to India? Why is it that Pujara is able to, score substantial hundreds in India? And I don't think he's just scoring them off the half volleys and the long hops.
Yeah, but because the visiting attacks are not as good at bowling in India as they are in their home countries, no?
No, that's fine. I understand not as good in terms of, let's say, penetration, but in terms of control, basic control, in terms of them.
Let's face it, some of the spinners who visited India are not been great.
What about the fast bowlers? I'm saying Rabada at the end of the day is still going to bowl with reasonable amount of control, even if the wicket is not going to...
How long is he going to bowl? So you see off Rabada.
You do see Pujara scoring runs of good balls. I wouldn't say, he's not like Pujara at home.
The other thing is also that, when the ball doesn't seam, there's a limited virtue in sort of bowling good length all the time. So bowlers also have to attack more in India, no? Like Rabada is firstly express pace. So he's going to bowl a fuller length from time to time, a driving length. He's going to bang it in short from time to time. That is more attacking. That gives you more room to hit. What these on seaming pitches, what James Anderson does is basically what Akshar Patel did in India. It is the seam fast bowling equivalent of Akshar Patel. Ashwin is the spin bowling equivalent of a great fast bowler, but James Anderson is the fast bowling equivalent of Akshar Patel. He's metronomic. He's got incredible control of his length and line, and he waits for the pitch to do his thing, because he knows he can bowl lengths which are hard to hit. So there's nothing you can do. What can you do? I mean, unless you find a batsman who can hit a good length ball on the fifth stump for 4 consistently and safely, I don't know what the solution is.
The other problem with Pujara in England is not just the fact that he doesn't score enough. It's not like he's giving you 50 of 200 balls every match. It's just that he doesn't bat enough balls in the first place. He's not only not scoring off good balls, he's actually getting out to good balls at a reasonably frequent interval, which is why his record is what it is.
So, but I still don't understand this argument of what can he do. He has to, ultimately every batsman has to find their way to score runs in different conditions against different bowling. And I think his
point is valid. If you are Pujara, if this is your game, if this is what your game is built on, he can't do anything about it. It's the team which has to decide what they want to do with it. And the team has made a decision. There's no right or wrong with it. But my issue is always about how we talk about Pujara. Like it's like, there's this Pujara who's a batsman, there's this Pujara who's a batman, right? Like we discussed last time. And the way we talk about it, like some of Cricinfo's writing over the years has been like atrocious on Pujara. In fact, unfair to him, but it's been very, very difficult to read. So,
so the issue is about the disproportionate celebration and the expectation, right? That is what is pretty much your point.
But some of that celebration, why that is, no?
Why? Because Test cricket is dying.
Yeah, and he's a representative of a dying breed.
Yeah, but as we discussed, that is not true.
No, first of all, that's not true. But in fact, I remember there was this discussion once I had on Twitter about the whole narrative, right? Pujara is seen as this middle-class guy coming through the big bad world of BCCI. He had a private nets for himself growing up. His dad had invested all his savings into his cricket career. Rohit Sharma, poor guy, had to come from Borivali to Wankhede or whatever, to the
Are
city
you seriously bringing Rohit Sharma into this?
I'm saying, how narratives are formed, right? I mean, like there is nothing. It's not like Pujara is some sort of a slumdog millionaire character.
Rohit Sharma is summed up in one word. Ashoka, you know what it is. Talent. Obviously. That's like death, man. That is like...
I think
once you say a guy is talented, you're finished.
I think Dilip Venkateswar did the biggest disservice to him by claiming that he is talented.
Ian Chappell.
Yeah. So anyway, Ashoka, I think you have spoken very little here, so I will leave the final word to you. We have discussed everything, but of course, what you say will eventually be right. So please go ahead.
About this test?
About anything. You can say anything.
I mean,
because you said very little.
I just, because what is even the point, right? Anyways, so these guys will come and say some 100 things which is like not even true. So it's pointless to refute these guys. But as far as this test goes, I mean, it's a very disappointing defeat. I think my prediction of 3-1 still holds. I think India will probably win the next two tests. We are making too much out of this. I mean, okay, fine. Ollie Robinson is a very, very good find, but he's still a young bowler, and the backup is Overton and Sam Curran. So we are going to eventually find a way to make 250 consistently. I think if we make 250 4 more times, we may win both the test matches, is what I think.
The beauty of this test is that after the Lord's test, there was this, we were also discussing on our podcast and talking about how England are desperately seeking for backup and all that. In this test, Ollie Robinson walked in at number 10, which means they're batting till number 10, man. And in a test after the test at Lord's where they fell for like 50 plus overs. So it's amazing like what conditions and match situation can do to perception of depth, right? Like suddenly now England seems like to have all the depth that they need. Though technically, I mean, they've got Overton and who bowled well for them in the given conditions. But I'm just saying the disparity seems quite amazing just to see.
Are we not going to say anything at all about Rishabh Pant?
About his keeping or batting?
No, batting. Batting at 6.
Oh, okay. Whether he should bat at 6. Okay.
No, he takes a lot of chances. That's his game. I mean, all those chance taking is going to catch up with him. I mean, he's not going to survive and make 90 every time.
So were you the one suggesting that he should bat at 7?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think Jadeja might bat above him. I mean, if people want Jadeja to bat up the order, the obvious thing is that he should bat before Pant. No?
Bro, I've been telling you to go even radical. Drop Pujara, bring in Pant at 3. Drop Rahane, bring in Jadeja at 5. Then bring in Ashwin and Vihari. You're done. You're golden.
Yeah. Kohli might take you up, man. Kohli, I think, is perfectly willing to play 4 fast bowlers and 2 spinners.
Yeah, you've got batting depth, you've got bowling depth, you've got depth in any direction that you look. Now even Rohit Sharma is being consistent, so we are there already.
Yeah, because you see, it's a nice argument. No, he says, well, if 6 batsmen don't do it for you, what is the 7th going to do? So you can similarly say, if 5 don't do it for you, what is the 6th going to do? And so on.
No, but the thing with Pant is, I mean, see, I think he, given his how his test career has proceeded so far, I think he's also obviously, in this phase of figuring out batting in different conditions. And England is a place that is hard to bat, man. I mean, it's not, as we've seen, even the top line batsmen are having their time. So I would not, I would not be surprised if they continue with him at 6 for the next 2 tests. And especially because the next 2 tests will probably be better for batting also. And won't be surprised if he comes off. And yeah, I mean, he does take his chances, but also it has come off for him in the past. So again, it's less like we argued. I mean, you said about Kohli and his method, the way he plays, or Pujara and his method. Pant has to, I mean, they have to.
I mean, his method has been quite rewarding so far. I don't think there's anything to question about it.
I mean, his method is taking chances. And
but not taking chances because his chances, I mean, his ability to take chances is so good. When he attacks.
Also because his defense is awful, but.
No, but also because the chances that he takes are also not like just random. No, quite a bit is calculated. And just like we said, he reads the length. There are players who read the length early and all. I mean, he's clearly he has found a method to play against certain bowling in certain conditions. And he's just probably figuring that out in England at the moment. And they should give him the time to do it.
Yeah, but they're going to, because his basic job is keeping. No, I mean, the expectations from him are not the same as the expectations from Rahane and Pujara.
Yeah, but what I think is that pushing him down to 7 would then leave him with this tail, which is basically a non-existent set of players who, occasionally they come off. And then he will have to change his game quite a bit. I would rather him play at 6 and have like a bit of more cushion rather than coming down to 7 and then being left with only the tail.
Nah, they'll probably do that. Though I have very strong. I don't know what the Jadeja situation is. Just now I was reading some headline that Jadeja has gone to hospital for something.
Right? Yeah.
So if Jadeja is available, then I think they will play. I don't think Ishant Sharma will play the next Test match because I think I don't know that he's all fit anymore. He looked a little shaky. I don't know. In any case, I think Ashwin is going to play at the Oval.
And it's not because Kohli and Shastri are listening to critics. It's just because it's Oval.
Yeah. So that is the moment that we can talk about in the next podcast. Then Ashoka can wax eloquent about Ashwin's bowling and finally say, okay, the team has done the right thing.
Yes. So, but see, then if he does bowl well or not, he's a great bowler. I mean, all this outrage about him being in the Test team or not is all secondary. It is just surprising to me that we are in a position where that he's not part of 3 tests in a very important series. So it's just that. I mean, sometimes I have a problem because I think now even Cornered is thinking that I hate Rohit Sharma and I've become this parochial guy who wants Ashwin in every Test match. It has become.
First of all, it makes perfect cricketing sense to play Ashwin in every Test. You don't need to be parochial about it. 2, even if you're parochial about it, come on, why wouldn't you not be? He's our greatest cricketer. The BCCI has deprived great Tamil Nadu cricketers of their rightful place in the 11 for so many years. Finally, we have this absolute all-time great bowler. Why wouldn't you bat for him?
Somasundar should have played 100 Tests.
That I agree. That my parochialism agrees with that.
Boss, that Karnataka team had fucking 8 players out of 11 in the team, and you wanted a 9.
Somasundar and Sadagopan Ramesh should have been India's opening pair.
I'm sorry, you people did not see some of the great cricketers. Okay, J. Arun Kumar never played for India. Yeah. Some of the great cricketers.
Sorry. Hello, please. For the sake of listeners here, let me point out that Karthikeya comes from Mumbai and Siddhartha comes from Karnataka. And Siddhartha particularly comes from Karnataka of the 90s, which had monopolized the whole Indian team. What are you guys complaining about? We come from Tamil Nadu. Our best cricketer before Vijay was Krishnamacharya Srikanth or Venkatraghavan.
Yeah.
I come from Mumbai.
And there was a point when Ashwin had 3 Test hundreds and he was the Tamil Nadu batsman with the most Test hundreds.
That is why I have all this wisdom, because I know that, great players need not necessarily get picked, and it's a good sign of strength that great players don't get picked. Padmakar Shivalkar and Amol Muzumdar never played a Test match. That's fine,
But Karthikeya, if your best batsman is currently sitting in the Sky commentary box, then it's a different issue. Okay, come on.
Yeah. Oh, he is like the Giorgio Armani of the commentary box.
Yeah, that is a
Apparently-
separate podcast we have to do, man. This is an atrocity we need to control immediately.
I didn't realize that. I learned only from that Kutti story that they now call him Dumble. Apparently, it's Bumble and Dumble. So Dinesh Karthik is Dumble and David Lloyd is Bumble. So anyway, so I think this is the end of this podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. You can contribute to the website. You can support us. You can support the podcast and the website 81allout.com. You can do that by going to Coffee. That is ko-fi.com/81allout. There you can set up a recurring monthly payment, or you can put in a one-time contribution, whatever you choose. You can also listen to our past podcasts. You can review our podcast. Please leave a rating and a review. That will really help us. And 100 plus podcasts. I think this is podcast number 106. So there's a lot to listen to. If you're new here, please go back. We have a lot of timeless features. We have interviews with several writers, cricketers, broadcasters, etc. So thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. And we will reconvene after the Oval Test to talk about Ashwin and only about Ashwin.
Of course.
Yes. Thanks, Mahesh. Thanks, Karthikeya.
Thank you.
He'll come back for the second. India have won the Test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for two.